Now, we all know that some people like to spend a lot of money on loot boxes. These people are genuinely labelled whales by the industry. But what if you were a big, fat, blue whale and you didn't even realise it?
Eurogamer has just published the story of Michael, a 32-year-old FIFA player from the UK. Michael, whose surname has been kept anonymous, is a big fan of FIFA and FIFA Ultimate Team in particular.
Is it Michael Williams, maybe?
Well, I think there are other
You wouldn't be
Michaels.
at liberty to disclose that, though, would you?
Well, I think the fact that I f***ing hate FIFA rules me out.
That's what Michael would say.
Well, back in May 25th of this year, Europe's new General Data Protection Regulation came into effect. Michael seized the opportunity that very day to ask EA a simple question: can I see all the data that you currently have on me? He went through EA customer service to make the request, and after some faff, managed to get what he wanted after sending over his personal info and a picture of some ID. Oh, and after a 30-day wait, of course.
Once the 30 days were up, he received 2 PDF files full of his data, each 100 pages long. It had almost every data point you could imagine EA holding on you, including 10 separate audio files of recorded calls he'd made to EA support, how many goals he'd scored, how many shots he'd taken, how many shots on target, his date of birth, even the people on his friends list. There were also details of every single player Michael had bought and sold on FIFA Ultimate Team over the past 2 years. He published the data to Imager and Reddit, with some of the bits redacted by EA, covered by black bars, while Michael redacted some of the stuff himself with red bars. And the most eye-catching statistic to come out of all of this: Michael has spent $10,010 on FIFA Ultimate Team in just 2 years.
Here's what he told Eurogamer, quote, "Upon reflection, the figure EA stated would be correct. Special events such as Black Friday, TOTY, FIFA Ultimate Team Birthday, TOTS, footies, etc. I would have thrown in thousands upon thousands of FIFA points without even a second thought. Myself and my fiancée are fortunate to have a healthy disposable income, so this kind of amount wouldn't have caused a strain on us financially. I do, however, have the utmost sympathy for those in a position of low income who may also be or become addicted to buying loot boxes." Michael told Eurogamer he'd been gobsmacked by the sum, but it turns out that that might not even be the full picture. He'd also shown some spending data to Eurogamer that he did not publish online, and that data shows one figure of $6,144 spent between the 2nd of November 2016 and the 29th of August 2017. Then the other $10,010 is spent between the 25th of September 2017 and the 21st of May 2018. So Michael may have spent $16,154 over 2 years, not just the $10,010 he originally believed. That could be correct, he said when Eurogamer pointed this out to him. I'm not entirely sure, as I was assuming the $6,000 was over FIFA 17 and the remainder up to $10,000 was FIFA 18. Looking at the stats again, it is possible the amounts are for separate titles. If anything, the data EA has provided me has made me realise that FIFA points are just not worth it, and $10,000 will be better spent over the next 2 years. Well, he's gobsmacked. I'm gobsmacked. I mean, he doesn't even know still how much money. Like, this guy must have a lot of money if he's like, it may have been 10 grand, it may have been 16 grand. I'm not sure. The point is,
I'm gobsmacked by it.
yeah, absolutely shocking. So, little interesting side note for you here. Wesley and Paul, the Eurogamer reporter, said he started looking into this as a piece about the information that EA holds on its players. And that is kind of there, but then it took a turn into the fact that this guy was a massive whale and didn't even realise how much money he'd put down in there. And it's really goes to show that in 2 years, if you can drop $16,000, not even realise how much money you're putting into it, only at the point that you're shown that data do you realise, oh my god, I'm spending too much money on this game. And he's kind of changed his perspective on it now and says that he's going to spend his money differently in the future. And maybe FIFA points aren't actually that worth it, really.
He needed all that information that EA secretly held on him that he didn't know about to let him know that all that money spent on FIFA Ultimate points wasn't worth it. But I don't know what the biggest story is here. Well, let's be honest, because all that info that EA had on him, like how many goals he'd scored, how many own goals he'd scored, how much money he'd spent, I mean, that's mind-blowing that they've got all that information on on presumably all their players. And if EA are doing it, what's to stop other companies doing it? Presumably other companies have got that kind of information too. Where does it end? That's the problem. And this type of information that we didn't know that they had on us, you can imagine these big corporations using all this information that we didn't know that they held on us for nefarious means, trying to figure out how to get more money off these guys in future. They obviously know that a lot of his personal information, how much money is spent. Does that mean that they can target him for these special promotions or whatever, just to try and kind of squeeze some more money? I wouldn't put it past them. That's speculation on my part, obviously. For all we know, they could be targeting us specifically to try and take money off us. It's a scary thought.
The most eye-catching thing for me is the audio recordings, because when they say, you phone a support line or whatever, and they'll say, we may record calls for training purposes, it gives you the sense that it's kind of a random thing, like maybe your call will be recorded and kept for training purposes. 10 audio files they had on this guy from support calls, so that's that's got to be a pretty comprehensive catalogue. Unless he's been phoning them hundreds of times, that's got to be a lot of almost all calls he's had with support.
So Michael's main sticking point with all this data, though, is the fact EA didn't tell him which cards he'd received from all those FIFA Ultimate Team packs he bought. They could tell him every player he bought and sold, but not the players he got out of loot boxes. Quote, the data did not even tell me what pack I had purchased, just the amount of FIFA points the pack cost. Michael expressed surprise at the audio files attached to the data, saying he understands that organisations record calls, but did not expect EA to retain those calls for 2 years. EA's explanation about why it had held back certain data was pure inaccessible legal speak like this. Automated decision making, including profiling and information about the logic involved and the significance of and envisaged consequences. We do not consider any automated decision making by EA Inc. to have any legal or other significant effects on data subjects. Very helpful.
EA responded to Michael's story by saying it was working to improve its responses to players who make GDPR requests. They also promised to get Michael the data that he wanted. Here's a quote from EA. We take our responsibility to protect players' data privacy very seriously, and it is absolutely our intent to provide choice and control over their information. EA takes great care to respond to data access requests like these in a timely manner and consistent with each player's requests. Also, in full disclosure, we're working on the responses that players will see to GDPR requests like this. The quotes below are from some of our legal language, and obviously not all that helpful to a lot of players. Going forward, players requesting info will see a response that is clearer.
I mean, let's hope they're a little bit more clearer, because that sentence that I read out for you just then was utter garbage. Like, who's supposed to understand that? You need a lawyer to be able to pick that apart. Is that even like English, proper grammar? I mean, Mike, you're the words guy around here.
It's completely inaccessible gibberish in it. And at least they've gone, yes, we know that that's inaccessible, and we're going to actually try and improve that for when other people request this in the future. One thing we should consider is the fact that he made this request on the day that the law changed. So his case has probably helped in that sense. But again, yeah, it's two stories here. There's the fact that EA hold loads of data on you. 2 PDFs with 100 pages each is what they gave him, including, and then 10 audio files and all this. So they had so much data on just this one guy. Okay, he's a whale. He's a big kind of FIFA Ultimate Team player. He says that he dominates his spare time and stuff. It's his hobby. It's his main pastime and stuff. He's doing all the weekend challenges and stuff. And a lot of the money that he put in was based on the belief in momentum, which for FIFA players is this kind of idea that a game can swing based on how a game is going, and if a player is kind of losing, then some balancing will happen to give that losing player an extra chance. And then this is something that EA has always denied, but nevertheless, that is what kind of fueled his spending. The idea of momentum in FIFA Ultimate Team. This is a guy who just wanted to find out how much data they had on him. They have loads of data, and it turns out that he's a massive whale, and he didn't even realise it, which is a whole other problem. And he's saying, he admits in there that he's addicted, and he says it must be worse for people who are on low income because he's on comfortable money. Him and his partner are on comfortable money, so he can kind of take the hit a little bit. But even he's going, I'm kind of not going to do that in future though. So it's two big stories here. There's two big stories.
So are you surprised by how much info EA had on this guy? Let us know down in the comments below. Like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe if you are new around here. Check out another one of the videos on your screen there. Support us on Patreon using that link right there. We'll see you again in the next video. Until then, bye for now.